Roger Ebert was one of our nation's most beloved film critics. With his partner Gene Siskel, Roger took film criticism from the pages of newspapers and into our living rooms with the television show At the Movies. Throughout his life, Roger shared his love of film, not only by conveying what makes a good movie, but which films were his favorites. This is not a show about those movies. This is a show about the movies Roger loathed, the films he despised, the movies he absolutely hated, movies like New York Minute. On this episode of Does This Movie Suck?
Hello friends and welcome to the show. This is our look through some of the worst reviewed movies of all time to see if they've gotten better with age. Right now we're working our way through Roger Ebert's 2007 book, Your Movie Sucks. On this episode we're exploring the 2004 film New York Minute, starring Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, Eugene Levy, Andy Richter, Darrell Hammond, and musical guest Simple Plan. You think I'm joking, but I'm really not. A Simple Plan concert is a major plot point to this movie, for some reason. Alright, two things right off the bat. First, the elephant in the room. This movie is not meant for me. While I haven't liked some of the movies that have been on this series, they've all been in my wheelhouse. This is the first one that is not meant for me. I am not in this movie's target demographic at all. If every tween girl in the country liked this film and I didn't like it, I think the filmmakers would be okay with that. Secondly, at some point in time during this review, I will probably at least once call this movie One Hot Minute. This is just a warning. I will say it. I will not catch it. I've been doing it all week. I'm fully aware that New York Minute is an Olsen Twins movie, while One Hot Minute is a Red Hot Chili Peppers album. So with that, let's start with our blurb check. It's our look at poll quotes on movie boxes to see how accurate they are. First off is a quote from Lisa Breckenridge from KTTV in LA. She says, "It only took Mary-Kate and Ashley a New York Minute to become big screen stars." No. From the same movie box, Corey Moss from MTV News says, "Mary-Kate and Ashley deliver brilliant performances." Really, Corey? Really? When we're all dead and gone, the cinematic performances the human race will be remembered for is Orson Welles in Citizen Kane, Marlon Brando in The Godfather, and the Olsen twins in New York Minute? Come on, really? To be fair, both of these are broadcast reviews, which if you watch this series long enough, you know float off into the ether, never to be heard of again. We're on shaky ground here. The next quote comes from Chris Keltenbach of the Baltimore Sun. He supposedly called this movie highly entertaining, although this box has his quote outside of the quotation marks. The Sun has pulled the review from the website, but Rotten Tomatoes has his review at a 2.5 out of 4, so I think this quote may be a stretch. Our last quote comes from Kirk Honeycutt of The Hollywood Reporter. He writes, "The movie flows nicely from one wacky episode to the next." His review is no longer online, but he went on to write that the Olsen girls make pleasant company. Rotten Tomatoes rates his review as fresh, so it seems he enjoyed the film. One in every crowd. With that, let's dig into New York Minute, a movie that got a whopping 11% on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter. Mr. Honeycutt's review is actually a great place to start. The movie doesn't have a plot per se, it's just a series of wacky occurrences strung together. New York Minute is the story of two sisters, Jane and Roxy Ryan. Jane is the goody two-shoes who's going to New York today to deliver a speech before a scholarship committee, and Roxy is the bad girl rock and roller who's skipping school to, hold on to your seat for this explanation, she's going to a Simple Plan video shoot. Told you I wasn't kidding. She's going to the video shoot so she can find Simple Plan's A&R guys and give them a demo tape of her band so they can get a record deal and maybe an opening gig. So one sister is giving a speech, the other sister has a whole thing to do. Roxy looks in her database of school excuses for a way out of school today.
Illnesses, chicken pox. Print.
Roxy is played by Mary-Kate, which I totally knew and didn't have to Google. Scout's honor. I wasn't a Boy Scout. I'm super sure this is what Edwin Starr had in mind. This is a totally appropriate use of this song. Good job, movie. So the sisters head downstairs where Jane makes breakfast for her father, something that she's done ever since the twins' mother died. Their dad is played by Dr. Drew for some reason. He's too busy to eat, but has enough time to sign a permission slip for Roxy so that she can forge his name onto her chickenpox form.
Shakespeare in the Park? Great. Which play?
Oh, you know, the one with the girl and the guy, love the tights.
Taming of the Shrew?
Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, thank you. I totally blanked.
So close.
I love that play.
I know, me too.
Your mom would have been so proud of you.
So Dad signs Roxy's form. Roxy then forges her dad's name while he's still standing there, and does so poorly. If Roxy's so good at faking sickness, at this point, why does she need an example of her dad's handwriting? Doesn't she have it memorized at this point? And even then, doesn't she have all the unused permission slips? Maybe I'm overthinking this. That tends to happen. Roxy agrees to take Jane to the train station. Jane finds a simple plan leaflet on her headrest for the express purpose of losing it out the window so that the film can introduce a new character. It's the truant officer that will be chasing the girls for the entire film. Alright, two things. First off, I may have added that music. The original audio track's just a saxophone. But my point is, this film really wants to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It straight up references it multiple times. It really wants to be loved just like Ferris Bueller. My second point is, the truant officer is played by Eugene Levy. Of course it's played by Eugene Levy. Why wouldn't it be played by Eugene Levy? Before the girls go to the train station, Roxy stops at her manager's house. He's played by Jack Osborne because it's 2004.
We gotta hit up the A&R guys. We really gotta get this contract.
Okay, how will I know it's them?
Middle-aged guys, fancy suits, bad old-fashioned dancing.
Right.
Levy's truancy officer tracks Roxy to the house, but just misses her. But he catches all of her bandmates.
But you gave it a rest, Lomax? You're a truancy officer. You're not Dirty Harry. This kind of crud is what kept you out of the force for 25 years. You know that, don't you? Huh?
Wait a second, what did that cop say?
You're a truancy officer. You're not Dirty Harry.
Oh, Ed, you sounded like Dirty Harry just then.
The girls get to the train where Jane sits next to Daryl Hammond. This conversation between Jane and Roxy will annoy me now, and we'll talk about why later.
Listen, I am this close to winning the McGill Fellowship. I've worked my whole life for this.
Maybe one of you would like to switch seats.
No!
Remember that, we'll come back to that later. As will happen for the rest of the film, the girls rain down chaos on Daryl Hammond's character.
I'm sorry! Right, Roxy Ryan! Oh my God! I'm sorry!
What are you, a couple of monsters?
Yes, actually they are. They start taking tickets on the train, something Roxy doesn't have, so she tries to hide in the bathroom.
I'm in hell.
Starting to think I am too, sir. Starting to think I am too. Roxy's lack of ticket and Jane's inability to find hers leads them to be booted from the train, after which Jane meets a cute boy. She promptly gets her skirt caught on his bike.
If you can't get out, I'll just take my skirt off. Did I just say that out loud?
500 points and control of round one if you can guess what happens next.
Oh my God! Oh my God.
Oh my goodness, I could have never seen that coming. As you can tell by these doughy looks, I think they like each other. This movie is very, very subtle. The boy and Jane have to go their separate ways. The girls try to find rides into the city. Jane tries to find a ride on a train. Roxy tries to find a taxi. And if you thought this movie had absolutely no plot so far, a new storyline enters. A man drops a flashcard into Roxy's bag a moment before he's arrested. Then a limo driver played by Andy Richter is introduced. Prepare to cringe.
All of the taxis are gone. And, you need a ride. I give you a ride.
No.
Yes, that is a white man speaking in a horrific, cringeworthy, stereotypical Asian American accent. My friends, I would like to tell you that this is the only scene in which this happens. But I'd be lying to you. No one on the set told anyone of power that this might be a bad idea. The girls get into Richter's limo and head towards the city because Roxy has Richter's flash drive and this movie is a rail shooter. Does everyone know what a rail shooter is? A rail shooter is a type of video game where you're given the illusion of choice, but at the end of the day you're set on a predetermined path made by the game makers. You're essentially just pointing a gun in a direction and shooting. Your character is on rails, kind of like a roller coaster. New York Minute is the rail shooter of movies. The girls seem to have some sort of illusion of choice, but at the end of the day, they're on a rail, they're on a path from one wacky incident to the next. There are two main destinations, Roxy to her Simple Plan show, and Jane to the auditorium to give her speech. Outside of that, the movie is a series of and thens, meaning, and then this happens, and then this happens. So when it is appropriate, I'm going to treat the film as such. And then Richter's character, Benny, is rightfully annoyed at Roxy.
Stop it!
Roxy, please, I can't concentrate. What's up?
Benny then makes a phone call to his adoptive mother.
Benny will be there soon, Ma.
Benny, either you talk in Chinese or you speak in English, but enough with the accent.
I'm sorry, Ma.
快去把那个 chip 拿来给我。
So the movie, at the very least, knows that Richter's accent is ridiculous. It doesn't stop it, but it does acknowledge it. They get into the city, Richter falls back on his accent, and he reveals to the girls that they've actually been abducted. They escape the limo through the sunroof and then escape to the subway where this stupidity happens.
Taekwondo! 2 times a week! 3 years!
Benny gets trapped on a subway car so the girls can escape. And then Jane's shoe breaks, so Roxy breaks the other heel to make them flats, because that's been done in a million movies. And then the girls meet a homeless man who spills a slushie on Jane. And then both girls get puddle water on them from a passing car. So the girls head into a convenience store so that Jane can clean up.
Bathroom is for customer only. Down the aisle to the left. She has a whole life ahead of her. She should not be drinking this time of day.
Okay, that's kind of funny. And surprise, the bathroom isn't up to Jane's standards. Roxy spends her time loading up on snacks, and then Jane comes out realizing that her day planner is missing.
I must have left it in the limo. My whole life is there. My speech, my credit cards, my money.
Roxy really wants Jane to calm down about the entire planner thing.
Relax? How am I supposed to relax? My relaxation tips are in my day planner. Snap out of it.
You might think that that smack might lead to an argument or a funny comment. There's just nothing. And then the girls go to a hotel to get freshened up. And then we learn what's on the memory chip that's so important to Benny and his mom.
That stupid chip contains millions of dollars in pirated music.
Pirate music? You mean, yo-ho, yo-ho, and...
Benny!
Okay, I know what you mean. I was just kidding.
The Benny scenes in this movie are painfully unfunny. I actually held kind of a mental competition to see what was less funny, Benny's scenes or Eugene Levy's scenes. I'm not even showing most of Eugene Levy's scenes because they have nothing to do with anything, but here's an example.
Could you call me at 993-1176 and reference case number 7 Tango 9er Popcorn X-Ray 5? Have a pleasant day. Bad girl. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you?
That's just painfully unfunny. On his way back to the limo, Benny spots Jane's planner and decides to use it as leverage. And then, a scene I actually have to spend quite a bit of time on, unfortunately. It's kind of a key scene in this convoluted film. The girls break into a hotel room that seems to be the temporary home of this businesswoman. Jane enters the bathroom only to find the woman's, well...
It's a dog. I think.
Jane's phone rings and it's Benny.
I have your date book.
Here's my date planner. You can take the money, you can have the credit cards, just please don't hurt my speech.
You took my chip.
Roxy, did you eat this man's chips?
No, not chips. Chip. My microchip.
Roxy finds the microchip and puts it on a plate of chocolates because this movie's a rail shooter and she needs to do that so that something else can happen. I'll give you bonus points if you can guess what. It's not that hard. And then this guy enters the room and takes off his shirt immediately because he's dreamy. I don't know, I'm not a tween girl. I really hate this scene.
Is today my birthday?
We're gonna call this boy number 2 because I didn't catch his name, they only mention it once. If the movie doesn't care, neither do I. The girls rehash everything that's happened for boy number 2, and wouldn't you know it, the dog ate the chip!
Yeah, the little green thing, he just ate it.
The girls try to get the dog to throw up the chip before tossing him about, mimicking a funnier, better movie. the dog has superpowers, I guess, because he defies all laws of physics and lands on the ledge, just in time for the owner of the hotel room, also boy number 2's mother, to arrive back at the room. So the girls head out on the ledge where they retrieve the dog, and wouldn't you know it, there's a window washing scaffold, because this movie needs to lead the girls to their next event. And then the girls escape from the dumpster just in time for Jane to run into boy number 1.
You know, if we keep bumping into each other like this, one of us is gonna get hurt.
I'm willing to take that chance.
For some reason, they run from boy number 1 and boy number 2, who are the only 2 people in New York City that actually want to help them. This leads to a montage of the girls running through Times Square that burns 54 seconds off of the film's running time, but it feels much, much longer. They happen upon a vendor and buy some new clothes. Jane decides, given Roxy's ability to mess things up, that the girls should split up and let Roxy go to her concert while Jane goes to get her planner back from Benny. More Andy Richter, embrace the cringe.
You give me my chip or I'll kill you. Cough it up, pooch.
No, please don't hurt him.
How did this movie ever get released in theaters?
Give it to me. Let me have it.
Good shot, Ronaldo.
So Jane, the dog, Roxy, boy number 2 who's also looking for the dog, Benny, and Eugene Levy's Lomax all converge at the Simple Plan show. Full disclosure, I like Simple Plan.
Simple Plan. They rock.
Woo! I have a soft spot in my heart for pop punk for some reason. I don't know why. I just like it. But this is certainly a Simple Plan B-side, and it's a music break in a feature film. Roxy spots Simple Plan's A&R guys, which leads her straight to the arms of Lomax. She gets away using the dumbest foil of all time.
Check your phone.
What's that?
Roxy's escape leads her on stage, where Jane meets her, but both Lomax and Benny have them boxed in, so they decide to use the only way out. Lomax tries the same thing, and wouldn't you know it? And then Benny abducts boy number 2. It's kind of a willful abduction because Benny tells the boy that he's going to lead him to the girls. So the girls escape to the sewers. Given that they've checked off Roxy's plan for the day, all that's left is getting Jane to the auditorium for the speech, you would think. Nothing in this movie is that simple. There's 45 minutes left. It turns out that the girl's dad is not going to make it for Jane's speech.
She's going to be so disappointed. I just hope she's okay.
The unpublicized event has drawn quite a crowd here today.
Seriously, how did they mess up the camera shot on that? If you're going to mimic Ferris Bueller, at least study Ferris Bueller. Mr. Hughes, show them how it's done.
Foul territory. Boy, I'm really surprised they didn't go for it in that inning. Lee Smith.
The TV is not in the camera shot when Dr. Drew turns around, so you can't see it cut away. What is going on? With boy number 1 and Lomax in hot pursuit, the girls emerge from the sewer and emerge at Big Shirl's House of Bling.
Can I help you?
We are so not in Kansas anymore.
Please, movie god, please don't let this lead where I think it's leading. Please, I beg of you.
So prepare to be blessed. Mickey, bring me my toolbox. We got some major bling doo-doo.
Oh no. Oh my god, this can't be real. This is so... Tell me that when we go back to the next movie clip that this nightmare is going to be over. Oh my god. I fully apologize to Happy Madison Productions and The Hot Chick. You guys are now second place when it comes to offensive cultural stereotypes. Who thought this was a good idea? And this sequence lasts 4 minutes and 9 seconds. It's just awful. I mean, come on! The girls settle on a look and leave the House of Bling. Jane gets a phone call from Benny. He has boy number 2 and is threatening to burn her planner. Benny sets the place and time for a meetup. The girls borrow a cab from one of the members of the House of Bling and head towards the auditorium, with Lomax in hot pursuit.
Step out of the car, Ryan. It's all over.
What do I do? Brake left, gas right, go!
The girls escape Lomax, and then he commandeers a RV to join the chase. The girls stop in traffic long enough to have Darrell Hammond enter their taxi because it's a movie that loves chance encounters. And they're able to torture Hammond's character some more. The girls just escape Lomax.
What are you doing? You trying to kill us? God, look at this mess. Paper all over the place. I'll never get...
He really wants to be Ferris. The girls get out of the taxi and walk because this movie is a rail shooter that wanted them to abandon the taxi for absolutely no reason. Well, not really no reason. They needed the girls to split up. They have an argument and they have to go their separate ways. The argument's about Jane's uptightness versus Roxy's recklessness. But the point is they split up. And then Jane meets up with Benny where she's promptly abducted. Roxy happens upon Benny's limo somehow where she finds Jane's planner and boy number 2. Man, this script is already 21 pages long, so let's blast to the end, shall we? And then Jane breaks out of Benny's piracy lair, happens upon boy number 1 because chance encounters are high in New York City, and they head to the auditorium. Their method of travel is dumb.
Oh, taking a shortcut. Alright, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Are you crazy?
Roxy and boy number 2 arrive at the auditorium first, and because Jane is nowhere to be found and the girls are twins, Roxy tries to give Jane's speech and fails miserably.
For as the famous Canadian professor Avril Lavigne Steen once said, and I quote, "Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated?"
This movie is very 2004. It doesn't help Roxy any that Darrell Hammond's character is on the advisory board. Alright, remember that conversation earlier in the film with Darrell Hammond and the 2 girls? Darrell Hammond's character has absolutely no reaction when Jane reveals what they're doing for the day.
Listen, I am this close to winning the McGill Fellowship. I've worked my whole life for this.
He should have had some reaction to that if he was on the advisory board for this scholarship. It's annoying, it's not surprising with this movie, but it's annoying. Okay, where were we? Jane shows up but never gets the opportunity to give the speech because Lomax shows, and then Benny shows, and then there's some Keystone Cops nonsense. Jane doesn't seem to be heartbroken, though. She's found her new best friend.
It was about something much more important. It just took me a few wrong turns to see it.
And the end. Oh wait, that's not the end of the movie.
The McGill Foundation would be really honored if you would represent us at Oxford University next year.
No, they wouldn't. Why, movie? Why?
I found these. This would have been an amazing speech.
Life doesn't work this way. There's also a postscript scene where Roxy's band is recording an album and Lomax is revealed to be a real cop because he caught Benny. And then they all dance to a cover of a Bowie song. The end. This movie's not for me. I'm not a tween girl, obviously. But I found this movie to be painful and embarrassing. I felt sadness for the people involved. There's no plot here. It's a series of destinations and plot contrivances to get them there. When I got to the Simple Plan concert, I was relieved that we had finally gotten to the end of the film, but as I mentioned before, there was still another 45 minutes left. I'm saddened that Eugene Levy's given nothing to do. I'm saddened that this movie relies so heavily on cultural stereotypes. I mean, look at the sequence.
All right.
Watch out, Ryan! Cease and desist!
That's just awful and unnecessary. This movie's a train wreck. And if it's truly for teen girls, what are we teaching them? Yes, this movie sucks. But it's another one off the list. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes of our show. I've linked social media down in my pants. And join us next time when we ask the question, does this movie suck? Thanks for watching.